Hey, thank you for joining me for another episode of Racking Up Rentals. Show notes for this episode can be found at thoughtfulre.com/E201. If you could take just a quick second and please make sure that you are subscribed or followed or whatever to this podcast, it really helps send a message back to the podcast platforms that you're listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you so much for doing that. And onward with today's episode. So every Wednesday in the deals workshop, we have a group call and people bring questions and situations and stuff. And so about a week ago, somebody brought a question into the group and she said, I've been talking to the seller and unfortunately the seller has decided she is going to list the property. And my question is, should I now then look at it on the market, go through the agent and start trying to talk to the real estate agent? And it seemed like a simple question that I'm sure a lot of real estate investors, maybe even most real estate investors, would probably just say, well, yeah, you liked the property. It's too bad you can't work directly with the seller now, but if you liked the property before, it's the same property. But I have a totally different answer to that question. And here's the conversation that we ended up having. And what I said was I explained that when we are working relationally with sellers in off-market negotiations, it's like playing one very, very specific sport. And once the property goes to a realtor and now the property is listed, it might be the same property, but the sport we're playing is now completely different. I mean, it's like we were playing basketball and now that the property is listed with a realtor, in order to pursue that property, now it's like switching to playing football. And these are just completely different sports. It's not to say necessarily that basketball is better than football. I mean, I certainly have my own preference as to which sport that I want to play. But the point is that the skills, the talents, the resources, the attributes, the gifts that we have that would make us good playing one sport don't necessarily translate. And our mind has to shift completely from playing one sport to playing a totally different kind of sport. So while most people would see this as, yeah, but you're still just trying to buy the same property, the way that we go about it is so different that it doesn't translate at all. And so my message to her in that moment was, keep to your sport of choice, keep to your sport of focus. What sport do you want to be playing that fits you, your talents, your gifts, all of that as well as possible, and stick to playing that sport, even if playing that sport means switching then away from this particular property to keep talking to sellers about different properties, but still playing the same sport. After this call, we always post the recordings in our group, and people watch the recordings who couldn't make it. They watch them the next day. And we had another person then in the group comment on the recording and say, this helped illuminate for me why I've been having stalled progress, is because I realized that I've been switching sports all the time. I'm allowing myself to go from playing the game that I'm kind of trying to play, like basketball, and then something comes up and I'm looking at this listed property, which is playing football. Now I'm looking at this this wholesale property, which is playing tennis. And the next thing you know, like all I'm doing is shifting focuses all the time. And it's really hard to get traction in anything if we're just shifting focuses all the time. We know this in our own work. If you got Facebook up over here and phone notifications here and stuff, it's really hard to focus and get work done because your attention is being divided, but also just changing rapidly. And so when we're trying to play different sports all the time, that just requires so much switching, and it never allows us to really get that good. I mean, we're talking about sports, and I do actually think of what we do as sort of like a sport. But think about great athletes. I think when they're young, they're probably exploring different sports and they're cross-training and things like that. But once they go deep in one sport, they go deep in that sport. They don't continue trying to practice all the other sports. They go deep in that one sport because that's how they get world class at one particular thing. And I want you to be world class at one particular thing. Now, I hope that that particular thing is the same thing that I want to be world-class in. And that's probably why you're listening to this podcast. But whatever it is, I hope that there is something that you can have tremendous focus on and become world-class in. In a Facebook conversation sort of thing, a couple of weeks ago also, somebody had posted about wholesale deals. And I said, to each his own, but here's why I don't pay any attention whatsoever to wholesale leads. I don't get on any buyers lists. I don't ever look at any emails that I accidentally end up getting, because that's not what I want to do. And somebody commented and said, okay, but why would you just completely disregard an entire category of lead source? And my answer was, I don't need to see all of the leads. I need to see the leads that are right for me. In other words, I need to see the leads that are in the lane of playing the sport that I actually want to play. A key word here is just simply focus. When you feel like you have to chase down every property that comes in every format or through every marketing channel in any situation, we can't be focused. Oh my God. All you've got is FOMO all the time, because you're just worried that, oh my gosh, if I don't read these emails quickly this wholesaler sent this email to 5,000 people on an email list. And so if I don't read it at all, but especially read it quickly, then gosh, I'm going to miss out on some opportunity. And I think we have to just get comfortable with the idea that we're going to miss out on opportunity, and that's okay, because those opportunities are not a fit for us. I'm okay realizing that I'm going to miss out on opportunities that come in the form of tennis because I'm choosing to play basketball. I'm going to miss out on opportunities in the form of football because I'm choosing to only play basketball. So it's focus and it's specialization. Like I said before, we can't become world class at something if we're switching our focus all the time. So what I'm hoping that this will do for you is it will encourage you to think not, my goal is to buy properties by any means possible, and instead replace that thought process with a thought process that says, my goal is to play my game that matches my talents and gifts and strengths as well as possible, knowing that when I do, from that will come the right acquisitions. And I hope that you are able to, or at least willing to consider that perspective shift. And if you choose that is the right perspective shift for you, as it has been for me, I hope that you will choose to adopt that. The goal is not to just buy any property that sort of makes sense by any means we can possibly get our hands on. The goal is to play the game that we are best at playing, and know that will result in the right acquisitions for us. And in the process, you'll feel a lot less scattered. You'll feel a lot less fragmented. You'll feel a lot less FOMO if you just acknowledge the fact that, yes, there's all sorts of deals and leads and all sorts of stuff out there that comes in different packages that I am not interested in pursuing. And I'm okay with the idea that I am intentionally foregoing those opportunities because they're not a fit for me. So that is it for today's episode of Racking Up Rentals. So again, show notes can be found at thoughtfulre.com/E201. Please do us a big favor by subscribing to this podcast feed, rating and reviewing, liking, commenting if you're watching on YouTube. All of those things are so helpful to us, and just make it worth doing. And it's so nice to know that you're out there, and it helps the show grow. Thank you so much for your help with that. Did you know also that we have a Facebook group for thoughtful real estate entrepreneurs? It's true. It's called Rental Portfolio Wealth Builders. We'd love to have you join us over there. You can type in Rental Portfolio Wealth Builders, of course, or you could just go group.thoughtfulre.com. The magic of the internet will take you right to that spot in Facebook, and you can hit the beautiful blue button that says join the group. I will see you in the next episode. In this case, more literally, see you in the next episode, and you'll see me in the next episode now that we're doing these on video. Thank you for being here. Until next time, this is Jeff from the Thoughtful Real Estate Entrepreneur signing off.